The witching hour, the bewitching hour, the time when the veil between our world and the supernatural is at its thinnest, or so they say. But for some, it's not just folklore. It's a reality they face every time they clock in for the night shift. Working overnight can be quiet, but sometimes it's too quiet. These stories were sent in by real people who worked the night shift and experienced something they'll never forget. Turn the lights down. Here are 3 true scary night shift stories. Story 1. I used to work night security at an office building in downtown Chicago. Our next story comes from a small hospital in Kentucky, where a nurse experienced something truly chilling. Picture yourself there. The fluorescent lights hum overhead, casting long, eerie shadows across the empty corridors. The only sounds are the rhythmic beeping of monitors and the distant murmur of the nurse's station. You might even feel a chill, a prickle on the back of your neck that whispers, "You're not alone." Our storyteller, a young nurse named Emily, felt that chill often. Working the night shift at this small hospital had always been unsettling, but lately it had become downright terrifying. It began subtly, with whispers of a presence in the abandoned wing, a cold spot near the old operating room, a fleeting glimpse of a shadowy figure at the end of the hall. Then things escalated. Charts went missing, only to reappear inexplicably in locked drawers. Equipment malfunctioned. Alarms blared for no reason. Emily tried to rationalize it, to blame it on faulty wiring or her own sleep-deprived mind. But deep down, a terrifying thought took root. The hospital was haunted. One night, as Emily made her rounds, checking on sleeping patients, she felt an icy breath on her neck. She spun around, heart pounding, but found nothing. The room was empty, the air still, yet the feeling of dread intensified, wrapping around her like a shroud. Later that same night, she heard a blood-curdling scream echoing from the abandoned wing. Fear propelled her forward, her footsteps echoing in the silence. As she approached the room where the scream had originated, the door creaked open, revealing an empty bed, the sheets tossed aside as if in a struggle. On the bedside table, a message scrawled in what appeared to be blood sent chills down her spine. It simply read, "Get out." Shaking with terror, Emily fled the room. The image of the bloody message seared into her mind. She never returned to that small hospital in Kentucky, leaving behind her job and the haunting presence that lingered within its walls. Our next tale takes us from the sterile halls of a hospital to the dimly lit, echoing corridors of a gas station long after everyone else has gone home. Imagine the silence, broken only by the clack of the register, the hum of the vending machine down the aisle, the distant drone of the cleaning crew. It's a lonely existence, the night shift, but for some, it's a necessary evil. Our storyteller, Mark, a gas station attendant working the graveyard shift, knew the feeling well. He'd spent countless nights patrolling the empty aisles, his only companions the flickering security monitors and the occasional scurrying cockroach. But one night, something changed. He began to hear the distinct sounds of a cleaning crew at work. The squeak of a mop bucket, the clinking of spray bottles, the low murmur of voices. At first he dismissed it as just another part of the nightly routine. But as the weeks went by, the sounds became more frequent, more insistent, and always from aisles that were supposed to be empty. One night, his curiosity got the better of him. Armed with his flashlight and a growing sense of unease, he decided to investigate. He walked to the storage room, the source of the most frequent disturbances. The door creaked open to reveal an unsettling sight. The aisle was spotless, the floors gleaming, the air thick with the scent of industrial cleaner. But there was no sign of the cleaning crew. The only sound was the deafening silence that seemed to press in on him from all sides. As he made his way down the aisle, his heart pounding in his chest, he noticed something strange. The door to the janitor's closet was slightly ajar, and a faint light emanated from within. He cautiously approached the door, his hand hovering over the handle. Taking a deep breath, he pushed the door open, expecting to find a cleaning crew member taking a break. But the closet was empty. The only light came from a single flickering bulb overhead, casting long, grotesque shadows on the mops and buckets that lined the walls. And then he saw it, a single solitary figure reflected in the dusty mirror on the back of the door. The figure was tall and gaunt, dressed in a faded blue jumpsuit, a mop in one hand and a bucket in the other. It stood perfectly still, its back to him as if frozen in time. Mark tried to speak, to demand to know who was there, but his voice caught in his throat. He could only watch in horrified fascination as the figure slowly turned to face him, its features obscured by the shadows. And then, in the blink of an eye, it was gone. Mark never saw the ghostly janitor again, but he never forgot the chilling encounter. He quit his job soon after, unwilling to spend another night in the company of whatever lurked within those empty aisles. Chapter 3. The Midnight Intruder. Our final story of the night takes us to the desolate, echoing aisles of a department store long after the doors have closed and the shoppers have gone home. Imagine, the only sounds are the gentle hum of the refrigerators, the distant chime of the security system and the echo of your own footsteps. It's a lonely job, guarding a place seemingly frozen in time, but for our storyteller, it was about to become a terrifying fight for survival. Meet Emily, a college student working the graveyard shift at a sprawling department store on the outskirts of town. It was supposed to be an easy gig, a way to make some extra cash while studying for exams. But Emily soon learned that the real horrors didn't lurk in textbooks, but in the shadows of the deserted shopping aisles. A misplaced mannequin, its vacant eyes seemingly following her as she made her rounds. Strange noises coming from the stockroom, like boxes being shifted and whispers echoing in the darkness. Then, one night, as Emily sat in the security office monitoring the bank of flickering screens, she saw something that made her blood run cold. On one of the cameras, a figure darted across the frame. It was tall and slender, dressed in dark clothing, its face obscured by a hood. Emily's pulse quickened. She rewound the footage, her eyes glued to the screen. There was no mistaking it. Someone was inside the store. Heart pounding, she grabbed her flashlight and radioed for backup, but there was no response. The radio crackled with static. She was on her own. Cautiously, Emily made her way through the darkened store, her flashlight beam cutting through the eerie silence. She could hear the blood rushing in her ears, each creak of the floorboard sending a jolt of fear through her. As she approached the back of the store, the air grew heavy, thick with a palpable sense of dread. The hairs on the back of her neck stood on end. She held her breath, listening for any sound. The silence was broken only by the thump, thump, thump of her own heart. And then she saw it. The figure was standing at the end of the aisle, partially hidden in the shadows. It was motionless, as still as a statue. Emily aimed her flashlight at the figure, her finger hovering over the button. "Who's there?" she called out, her voice trembling. The figure didn't move. It just stood there, shrouded in darkness, its presence radiating a chilling malice. Emily took a step closer, her heart pounding in her chest. "Identify yourself!" she demanded, her voice gaining a newfound strength. The figure slowly turned its head towards her, and Emily gasped. It wasn't human. Its face was pale and gaunt, its eyes hollow black pits that seemed to stare right through her. Its mouth was stretched into a grotesque grin, revealing rows of sharp, pointed teeth. Emily stumbled backward, her flashlight clattering to the floor. She turned and ran, her screams echoing through the empty aisles. She could hear the creature close behind her, its heavy footsteps pounding on the concrete floor. She didn't stop running until she reached the front of the store, fumbling with the locks on the doors. Finally, she managed to get them open and stumbled out into the night, the cool air stinging her lungs. Emily never returned to the department store. The memory of that night, of the terrifying creature that lurked within its walls, was enough to haunt her dreams for years to come. Thanks for watching. If you've ever experienced something terrifying while working overnight, let me know in the comments. I might read your story next. And don't forget to subscribe for more true horror stories every week. The Night Shift. A breeding ground for fear, a canvas for the unexplained, a stage for the monsters that hide in the shadows of our everyday world. Tonight, we've journeyed into the heart of darkness, exploring the chilling tales of those who dare to face the unknown while the rest of us sleep. But remember, these stories are more than just spooky tales. They're a reminder that the line between our world and the other side is thin, easily blurred in the dead of night. So the next time you find yourself alone in the dark, remember the stories of Sarah, Mark and Emily. And listen closely. You might just hear the whispers of the night shift calling out to you.